Coming off arguably one of the craziest episodes in not just fights but lore drops as well, we segue to Dragon Boy's character arc. Given the context that we got in episode 21, I am fairly confident that he's not going to end up being Zero, or at the very least not the him that we'll come to know of. I'm sorry to break it to you Dragon Ball fans. In all the character arcs that we had, it's usually a small build-up that can get pretty personal, especially when we start off during their adolescence. But in Dragon Boy's case, his pilot episode feels different immediately. We don't really get much context about him other than the fact that he's a bit of a masochist with a superiority complex. If anything, we probably learned more about everyone else than the hero in his current dedicated episode. The vibe I'm getting from Dragon Boy is that he feels more like a tool to help flesh out other characters' storylines. In his current state, he's probably the perfect misdirect before we're introduced to the real host for Zero, which may or may not happen in this season. This theory goes back to what I previously mentioned, where the episodes are strategically lined up to manipulate the character popularity pool that determines the development for Season 2. Dragon Boy's lack of development and emphasis in his own arc backs up this hypothesis where he might not be that important of a character, or at the very least not the Dragon Boy that we'll come to learn of, if the story truly progresses with using his body as the host for Zero. What I mean by that is that we still know too little about the Spotlight organization. They might have the capabilities to take over a body or dramatically alter their personality. They were introduced in the first arc and possibly had a second appearance with the DJ Shindig situation. If they were connected, that is. Whatever this entity that we saw is, I have a suspicion that they might have created the hero's tower and there's probably going to be a dark secret behind the construction of it. Just based off the visuals that we got in the opening, where we see a demonic hand encompassing the hero's tower. Hopefully we'll get more details about this before the season comes to an end. Since I previously mentioned that we got more context for other heroes in this episode, we might as well break it down as well. We see the aftermath of Nice's failures at the Ruin incident. Clearly the outcome is still weighing on him as his future is still uncertain. I probably should have seen it coming that Nice drew inspiration from Hero's smile, as he's often posing with his signature smile along with a mandatory finger pistol, or else the copyright police will come after him. Whatever boost in self-confidence that Nice got from Smile's pep talk, it was completely shattered by Shen coming in like an absolute demon. This small snippet is likely just the beginning before he completely breaks, and hopefully is built back up with a redemption arc. It was already kinda obvious that Shen was going after Rock so relentlessly due to what happened with his son, but it's always nice to have an absolute confirmation for his motives. There's a hidden irony behind Nice's character, a youngster aspiring to become like the hero he idolizes, drawing parallels with Yang Chang with how he was with Yi-Soul, with Shen having built both of them up. Now I'm just waiting to see their character development diverging from one another, but if they have bigger plans for Nice, I'd be perfectly fine with that as well. Now that we know Smile and X are such great buds, we should discuss about them together. Their friendship likely sparked after their battle at the Heroes Tournament, since X must have fought Smile because he has been consistently at the top 10 for decades, whether he connected with X due to admiration or other reasons. It's safe to say that Smile is the first confirmation that we got of someone who's close with X, at least enough to drop by uninvited with some grub and brewskis. We learn that the Heroes Affairs Commission is planning to stop X from achieving a fourth term out of fear in creating another godlike being. Initially, X is seemingly relieved as he wanted to live a normal life, which could possibly mean that his plans hasn't been in motion yet. But given the director's use of timelines in his other works, I wouldn't put it past him that it somehow comes back full circle with his ability to manipulate dimensions and/or time. The Hero Smile incident, which is likely the conflict that we're seeing right now, is the perfect storm for X to make his move if Smile perishes or becomes out of commission due to injuries. Since we had such a positive opinion of Smile this episode and his camaraderie with X, along with his family situation and how he's been absent in his daughter's life, Given everything, the likelihood of the outcome ending in tragedy for him is extremely high. There's a lot of ways the subsequent battle can play out. Reason being is that we don't really understand the mechanics behind what happens when heroes kill one another. Dragon Boy seems to be hinting to the idea that by killing Smile, he will be able to take his rank directly. It's not guaranteed that he gains trust value directly by killing Smile, as there's still a 2-year gap between this timeline and the current timeline with Linling. So it's possible that he accumulated trust values through other means over the years. Although with such a big jump, it's a worrying sign for Smile. The most lethal weapon that Rock handed to Dragon Boy, which looked to be a jewelry box, contained the necklace of Smile's daughter. But if it's something else entirely, it could create a completely new development. This is how I see it playing out. Nice will attempt to go through with his plans while being conflicted, and Smile convinces him to team up as they go up against Dragon Boy. Somehow Dragon Boy turns the tables on them 1 versus 2, and Nice with the last ditch effort sticks the serum on Dragon Boy. The effects kicks in and he's dazed and confused. And in their final assault where they thought he was down for good, he comes back even stronger in true masochist fashion. A development somewhere along the lines of Smile sacrificing himself after taking a hit for Nice. And Nice is left to fend for himself until X comes in and saves him. This will be the beginning of his partnership with X. He might be hesitant at first due to the guilt and grief from what happened with Smile, but he'll eventually give in at the end, leading to the timeline where I previously suspected that he fakes his death for some grand plan that X cooked up to prevent a disastrous future event from occurring. Hopefully we'll get more out of Dragon Boy before his arc finishes. And who knows, I might end up eating my words and he gets a crazy second episode. I'll be making more To Be Hero X content, so be sure to subscribe to not miss the uploads, and I'll see you in the next one.